Namaste everyone. Today I'll be presenting paper 3 biochemistry and biophysics practical scheme. Okay. Now let us go through the question paper first here BTP 302 biochemistry and biophysics. Question number 1, determine the activity of amylase in the given material A. Write the principle and procedure. Okay. This carries 10 marks. Okay. Then here let us go through the scheme of evaluation. Question number 1, in this particular question number 1 you are going to get the standard graph only for the question number 1 to be provided. Standard graph means for the question number 1 you are going to get here this standard graph. Okay, this standard graph you are going to get all the ODs. This particular standard graph OD you are going to get. Okay, this will be given by the in charge lab teacher. Okay, you need to check the enzyme activity, and what are the enzyme activity you will check. No, on this particular standard curve you need to plot the unknown. Okay, that's it for the question number 1. So principal carries 2 marks, procedure and performance carries 5 marks, calculation result carries 3 marks. Then question number 1b, prepare citrate or phosphate buffer of pH. You may get pH, different particular pH. Based on what are the pH they'll give, no, like that you need to do the calculation part and you need to prepare the pH and you need to show to the examiner. Okay, so this carries 4 marks. Then here, question number 2, estimate the amount of protein or reducing sugar in the given sample C. This carries 12 marks. So you need to go through these marks and you need to write the answer. Here this is 10 marks, writing part will be more, that's why it's 10 marks. You need to write here about the DNS method principle you need to write, and DNS method tabular column you need to write it here. Okay, so next you need to also write about the enzyme activity. You need to write in the question number 1. It carries 10 marks. Okay, but you are going to perform only 2 test tubes here. Okay, because they've asked already, you need to give the standard graph. Okay, then question number 2, estimate the amount of protein reducing sugar. So whereas in protein you have already studied the biuret method, right? So you have studied the biuret method, or you may get the Lawrence method. In reducing sugar you have studied the DNS method. Okay, you may get the biuret method or you may get the Lawrence method for 12 marks. Here you are not going to get the standard graph. Okay, you need to plot and you need to find out the what is the standard graph you are going to get. So here principle and procedure 5 marks, standard graph what you'll prepare, no, what you'll get, no, we'll process all the 6 test tube, right? That's the standard graph, that carries 4 marks. Then calculation and result carries 3 marks. Okay, then question number 3, describe the principle involved in TLC, that is thin layer chromatography and ninhydrin. Only principle you are going to write it here, not any procedure. Okay, just comment on that particular TLC and ninhydrin. Okay, so this carries 4 marks. Then class records is compulsory to bring your class record. This carries 5 marks. So total 35 marks you are going to write the answer, and 15 marks is your 15 marks is your internal assessment. So total how much marks here? 50 marks. Okay, you are going to write your practicals for 50 marks. IA marks will be there. IA marks on the practical you are going to write it for 15, and your practical will be for 35 marks. Whereas theory 70 marks is theory and 30 marks is your internal assessment, that is quality of the students internally. Okay, internal quality of the students about theory and practical you are going to get the internal assessment. So now let us go through the question number 1, determine the activity of amylase in the given material A. Okay, you need to write here the principle and procedure. First, let us write the aim of the experiment, that is to determine the activity of salivary amylase present in the given sample. Okay, here I've given the introduction part about the starch. Okay, here just you can see the introduction part about the starch I have given. Okay, you can take a screenshot or you can pause this video and make a note. This is just an introduction part for practical purpose, not necessary to write, just keep in your mind. Okay, this introduction for your reference about the starch. Now let us straightly move on to the principle. Okay, here the reducing sugar produced by the action of alpha or beta amylases on starch reacts with the DNS reagent and reduce it to orange, okay, or red colored product, okay, which is 3 amino 5 nitrosalicylic acid. Okay, Then here next, determination of standard curve for glucose. What is the aim of the experiment? To determine the standard curve using standard glucose solution. Okay. Now let us go through the principle of DNS here method. Glucose reacts with the alkaline solution, that is 3,5 dinitrosalicylic acid upon heating to give a reduced form of the reagent, that is 3-amino-5 nitrosalicylic acid, which is orange, yellow, red in color. The color developed is red at 540 nanometer against a suitable blank. Okay, this you need to keep in your mind. This carries 10 marks, so you need to write the principle of DNS and also about the enzyme activity. Okay, here, what are the requirements to perform this DNS experiment? You need standard glucose solution. Okay, you need standard glucose solution and you need the DNS reagent. From here to here, I've given here how to prepare the DNS reagent. Okay, so in the examination hall, while writing the practical, not needs to write the how to prepare this DNS reagent. You just mention requirement: standard glucose solution, DNS reagent, and distilled water, and then the glass tubes. Okay, more than enough. Then pipettes, glass pipettes. Okay, so this is the procedure I've given here for the DNS method. How are you going to perform the DNS method? I have given. So in this DNS method, you are going to pipette out the different aliquots of standard glucose solution and make up the final volume 2 ml. Okay, then by adding distilled water, right? After that, you'll be adding the 2 ml of DNS reagent, right? And then incubate the test tube in water bath for 15 minutes. To all the test tube, after cooling, add 5 ml of distilled water. Okay, then intensity will be read in the colorimeter at 540 nanometer against a suitable blank. Okay, then you are going to construct the uh, graph. Okay, that is about the DNS. But here you are not going to perform this particular procedure because we are giving the standard graph. Now let us move on to the to determine the activity of salivary amylase. Okay, here this principle you need to write because it carries 10 marks, and more this principle you need to compulsory write. The enzyme activity is the moles of substrate converted per unit time with rate or reaction volume. Okay, enzyme activity is measured in units which indicate the rate of reaction catalyzed by that enzyme, which is expressed as micromoles of substrate, which are transformed or product formed per unit. Why I'm telling this one? Because at the end, while writing the result, we are going to use the unit, that is micromoles per unit, is very, very important. You must write. Okay, at the rate of a biochemical reaction at a given temperature and pH depends on the enzyme concentration and the substrate concentration. Okay, the enzyme unit or international unit for enzyme, that is symbol U. Sometimes also we say that is IU, is a unit of enzyme catalytic activity. Okay, whereas 1 micromoles per unit is defined as the amount of the enzyme that catalyzes the conversion of 1 micromole of substrate per minute under the specified conditions of the assay method. An increased amount of substrate will increase the rate of reaction, okay, with enzymes. However, once at a certain point, the rate of reaction level out because the amount of active sites available has stayed constant. Okay, here the enzyme is incubated with the substrate for 15 minutes and the reaction is arrested after the a particular time period using the DNS, okay, reagent. DNS is used because of its alkalinity, which inactivates the enzyme. Thus, the concentration of so formed product, that is reducing sugar, can be estimated using standard glucose curve from which the activity is estimated. Okay, so now let us go through the determination of activity of salivary amylase. Requirement: we need substrate solution. You need to prepare the substrate solution by using the 2% starch solution along with the 0.5 molar acetate buffer of pH 5.0 and heat for 2 minutes and make up the final volume to 100 ml. So this is substrate solution. Then salivary amylase solution. You are going to pipette out the 1 ml of the saliva into 100 ml of volumetric flask, standard volumetric flask, and you are going to make up the make up to the mark with zero point 0.5 molar acetate buffer of pH 5.0. Okay, then from this you are going to take the 0.5 ml of this for enzyme activity. As there is a pandemic situation of this particular COVID-19 virus, other things. So instead of this taking saliva from any person, we are going to use the enzyme known as distase. Okay, that distase will be taken as the enzyme sample. Okay, then how to perform this determination of enzyme activity? So we are going to pipette out zero point 0.5 ml of the enzyme extract in. Okay, this is not into 8 dry test tubes. Okay, you are going to take the zero point 0.5 ml in the only one dry test tube. Okay, compulsory while performing the any kind of biochemistry experiment, you must use always the dry test tube to obtain the proper readings of the in the particular OD. Okay, so go through, let us go through here. You are going to pipette out the zero point 0.5 ml of enzyme extract into one dry test tubes and start the reaction by adding zero point 0.5 ml of the starch substrate. Okay, and another test tube will be, that will be blank, right? There also you are going to add the substrate and the enzyme solution, but incubation time will be 0 minute. Okay, so you are going to take here the two test tube. Okay, here you'll take the two test tube. To each test tube, okay, one will write it as one, other will write it as unknown. Okay, so pipette out zero point 0.5 ml of the enzyme extract to this first test tube also, and the second test tube also a zero point 0.5 ml of the enzyme and zero point 0.5 ml of the substrate. 0.5 ml of the enzyme, zero point 0.5 ml of the substrate. Okay, first test tube we are going to incubate for 0 minute. Okay, second test tube we are going to incubate it for 15 minutes. Okay, incubate the tubes for 15 minutes respectively, and after 15 minutes stop the reaction by adding zero point 0.5 ml of the DNS reagent to the both the test tube. The first test tube was at the 0 minute and second test tube was at the 15 minute. Incubate the tubes in a boiling water bath for 15 minutes. Okay, and cool them to room temperature. Read the absorbance at 540 nanometer against a suitable blank. Then construct a time curve by plotting micromoles of glucose as function of time in minutes. Then calculate the rate from the linear region of the time curve. Okay, so now let us go to this tabular column. Okay, this is the tabular column for estimation of glucose for standard curve by DNS, and below we have the determination of activity of salivary amylase. Okay, so in this case DNS you know already or perform no same thing. So here you are going to take the different aliquots of standard glucose solution. You are going to take in a different six test tubes, six dry test tube. Okay, and after adding this volume of standard glucose, you are going to add water, distilled water, by making up to the final volume 2 ml. Here this is the blank 0.00, the zero point 0, right? 0.0, it's a blank. You are not adding any kind of glucose solution here. And so you are going to add here 2 ml because you need to make up the final volume to 2 ml. When this is 2 ml, here we are adding zero point 0.2, second test tube 0.4, 0.6, 0.8 and 1 ml in the sixth test tube. If this is the 0.2, if you are going to make up the final volume to 2 ml, 1.8, and for 1.6, 0.4, 1.6, 0.6, 1.4, 0.8, 1.2, or 1 ml, 1 ml. So final volume which is made to 2 ml in all the test tubes, same amount of the solution or liquid. Okay, this is the concentration of the glucose. We have taken the concentration of glucose, that is nothing but the per ml, this is 1000 microgram. Okay, so in per ml of the glucose we have the 1000 microgram glucose. So this is the volume of DNS. To all the test tube we are going to add the 2 ml. Then incubate in a boiling water bath for 15 minutes. Okay, then volume of distilled water here, that will be 5 ml. Then OD at 540 nanometer. Okay, so after the whereas in this practical, what I said is that you are going to get the standard curve. So this OD will be given. Okay, this entire OD will be given to you. So this OD you are going to plot the graph. From here to here, that OD will be given. So you need to plot the graph, x-axis and y-axis. What are the OD you will get no from the in charge teacher? You need to plot the straight line. Okay. Then next, let us go to determination of activity of salivary amylase. Whereas in this case, first two test tube we are going to take. Okay, one will be the blank. You are going to add the volume of substrate here. Okay, here also volume of substrate you'll add zero point 0.5, zero point 0.5, volume of the enzyme zero point 0.5, zero point 0.5. Here incubation time is 0. With immediately after adding this enzyme zero point 0.5, in 0 minute you are going to add the volume of DNS. This DNS which is going to arrest the reaction. Okay, whereas here zero point 0.5 you are going to leave this particular test tube for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes you are going to add the 0.5 ml of DNS. Whereas to this test tube immediately you are going to add the zero point 0.5 because zero incubation time. Here after the incubation of 15 minutes you will add the zero point 0.5 ml of DNS. Okay, and here incubate after adding the DNS, incubate in a boiling water bath for 15 minutes. And at the end, add volume of distilled water that is 8.5, 8.5 finally. Then take the OD at 540 nanometer. Okay. So this will be zero point 0.0, right? And the first one here also, this is 0.00, and whatever the OD you'll get it here, no, all that OD you need to plot the graph. Okay, then here whatever the OD you'll get, that OD you need to plot it here in this particular glucose curve. Whatever the OD you'll get, that OD you will check where that OD will come, and you are going to plot this one in the dotted lines. Wherever this dotted line touches perpendicular to the x-axis, you'll note down that particular concentration of the glucose. That concentration of the glucose is nothing but you are going to take that as a microgram. Okay, here you are going to take this as the a microgram, which is obtained through the glucose curve. Now let us go through calculation of enzyme activity. So here the amount of glucose released, okay, which is obtained from the standard graph is this much you are going to write. Molecular weight of glucose is what? Here 180 gram. 180 gram in 1000 ml gives you 1 molar solution. Okay, so 180 microgram in 1000 ml gives you 1 micromoles solution. Therefore, a microgram, okay, a microgram means whatever you got from the graph, no, that particular concentration on the x-axis. A microgram of glucose is equal to A. How much you got concentration? That much. A into 1 divided by 180, which is going to give you B micromolar. Okay. In 15 minutes, the activity of the enzyme is B micromoles. Therefore, you can calculate it for 1 minute. Okay. That is 1 into B micromoles divided by 15 is equal to C micromoles per minute. Enzyme activity always you are going to represent in the form of the micromoles per minute. Result is here, the activity of salivary amylase was found to be dash micromoles per unit. You need to write. Okay. Now let us go through the question number 1 part B, that is preparation of buffers. You may get the phosphate buffer or you may get the citrate buffer. Okay. So now let us go through the phosphate buffer. Here, this is, you can see here the preparation of the zero point 0.1 molar phosphate buffer, pH 7. Okay, here this is a pH 7. Okay, to how to do this particular phosphate buffer pH? First, write molecular weight of K2H PO4 is 174.18 gram. If I get the 7, I'm doing this one. Whatever the pH you'll get, according to that, you must do. Okay, molecular weight of K2HPO4 is equal to 174.18 gram. This is standard. Then molecular weight of KH2 PO4 is 136.09 grams. The required pH is 7.0. In exam, whatever the pH they'll ask you, that you need to write it here. They may ask you 7 or they may ask you 6, that you need to perform. The pKa value for phosphate buffer is 6.8. Okay. According to Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, pH is equal to pKa plus log salt divided by acid. Okay, you must write this one. And always put all these particular formulas in the box without fail. Okay, without fail, put it in the box. What is the pH? PH we need to find out. PH, that is 7.0. You'll write it as pH 7.0 is equal to pKa, which is the constant, right? You'll write it here as 6.8 plus log, that is salt divided by acid, you are going to write. Okay, then log salt divided by acid is equal to 7.0. Okay, this one 7.0 minus 6.8, you'll get the point 2. Okay, then you shift here, you take the antilog of the point 2. Salt divided by acid is equal to antilog of point 2 is 1.5848. Hope I made myself clear to you up to this. If I'm going very quick, you can pause the video and you can go through. Okay. Further, we got that here salt is equal to 1.5848, right? Then the required concentration of the buffer is zero point 0.1 molar. Okay, S plus A is equal to zero point 0.1 molar. We know S already, right? This is the S. That salt 1.5848. We have written the same thing here, right? A, right? 1.5848 A plus A is equal to zero point 0.1 molar. Okay, here you are going to write 2.5848 A. Two A's, two acid are there, whereas here 2.5848 is equal to zero point 0.1 molar. Okay, therefore A is equal to zero point 0.1 molar divided by 2.5848 is equal to, you are going to get it here, 0.0386 mole per dm cube. Now we know that S plus A is equal to zero point 0.1 m. Okay. You just keep in your mind this answer will be of A. Okay, that is acid. Then S plus A is equal to 0.1 molar. Salt is equal to zero point 0.1 minus A. Okay, so S is equal to zero point 0.1 minus A is how much? A is this one, 0.0386. So 0.0386. Okay, when you subtract, you will get 0.0614 moles per dm cube. This is the acid and this is the salt. Now let us go through amount of acid, that is KH2PO4, to be added, or how much you need to take that particular acid. So here you are going to take acid multiplied with molecular weight. Okay, this is the acid you are going to take 0.0386. Okay, 0.0386 into molecular weight. Molecular weight of what is this? KH2PO4. In the beginning we have written now here molecular weight. Yeah, molecular weight we have written now. That's Ka2HPO4 and 136.09 of Ka2PO4. This is the molecular weight. Okay, that molecular weight you are going to write it here. Okay, the molecular weight of a KH2PO4. Okay, multiplied with the acid. Okay, then 0.0386 into 136.09, which will give you 5.2530 grams per liter. Always you are going to get calculation for liter. It means in the 1000 ml of container, you are going to dissolve this 5.2530 grams in 1000 ml. Okay, but I don't want 1000 ml. I want to prepare it only for 15 ml or 20 ml, or maybe for 25 ml, or maybe for 500 ml. Do the cross multiplication. 5.2530 grams for per liter. How much for 15 ml? Okay, then let us go to the amount of salt, that is K2HPO4, to be added. How much you need to add? Let's do the calculation. So this is what? It's a salt, right? Salt is here. Salt multiplied with the respective salt molecular weight. Okay, so here 0.614 is the salt. Here we have no 0.0614 of the salt, that you'll write it here. 0.0614 into molecular weight of K2HPO4, that is 174.18. You already written in the beginning, no, this one 174.18 grams. Then multiply both, you'll get 10.6946 gram per liter. Same thing, this is for per liter. You need to calculate it for 15 ml or 20 ml. Do the cross multiplication. So below you can write, by dissolving 10.6946 grams of salt. This is the salt. Okay, salt, and 5.2530. Okay, this one, gram of acid in 1000 ml of distilled water gives here a zero point 0.1 molar phosphate buffer solution. Okay, as we are doing with the phosphate buffer of pH 7.0. Okay, right, hope you understood here. Now let us go through the citrate buffer. Okay, here preparation of the citrate buffer of zero point 0.1 molar of pH 5. First, let us go through molecular weight of trisodium citrate, that is 294.10 grams. Then molecular weight of citric acid is 210.14 grams. The required pH is 5.0. They'll give you, perform the phosphate buffer of 7, or any one you are going to get, or prepare citrate buffer of pH 5, like that you are going to get. Okay, next one is pKa for citrate buffer, it's 4.75, it is constant. Okay, all these things we cannot change, all these things are very constant and standard. According to Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, pH is equal to pKa plus log, that is salt by acid. Okay, whenever you write any kind of formula, please put that in the box. Okay, so that that looks really great. So this is the formula. pH, what is required here, we are going to perform for 5.0. pH is equal to pKa, that is 4.75. Okay, plus log salt by acid. Okay, log salt by acid is equal to 5.0. Okay, minus 4.75 is equal to 0.25. Okay, let us take the antilog of 0.25, that will give you 1.7782. So here we'll shift here, S is equal to 1.7782 acid. Okay, so S is equal to 1.7782 acid. Okay, same thing taken here. The required concentration of buffer is 0.1 m. Right, we already got this particular S. How much is salt? Yes, 1.7782 A. So same thing we'll write. S is equal to 1.7782 A plus A, then zero point 0.1. Okay. Then you'll write it here as 2.7782 A is equal to zero point 0.1. Then A is equal to zero point 0.1 divided by 2.7782. You'll get acid is equal to 0.0359 moles per dm cube. Okay, we know that S plus A is equal to zero point 0.1. So let us understand about the how to calculate this salt. S is equal to zero point 0.1 minus A. So zero point 0.1 is there. A, where is A? This is the A. 0.0359, you are going to write it here. Then do the subtraction, you will get salt is equal to 0.0641 moles per dm cube. All these answers you can put that in the box. Okay, this yes, and this particular A, you can put this in the box. Okay, amount of citric acid A is equal to, you are going to write it here as acid into molecular weight. Okay, acid, that is same as usual, 0.0359 into molecular weight of citric acid. In the beginning we have written here, no, molecular weight of citric acid is 210.14 grams. So 210.14 grams. So when you multiply 7.5440 grams per liter, okay, that much amount you are going to take and dissolve in 1000 ml of distilled water. But in the examination hall, not needs to prepare 1000 ml. This is for 1000 ml. If you are preparing for the 15 ml, okay, calculate it for 15 ml. Okay, this much is for liter. Okay, gram per liter. How much for 15 ml? That much amount you need to dissolve in 15 ml of distilled water. Okay, amount of salt, that is trisodium citrate. Salt, that is salt multiplied with the molecular weight. What is the molecular weight of the trisodium citrate given here? Trisodium citrate can make out here 294.10 grams. So same thing you will write it here, that is salt multiplied with the, where you got the salt, salt is here, right, 0.0641. So same thing, 0.0641 multiplied with 294.1 molecular weight of the trisodium citrate. And when you multiply, you will get like this, 18.8518 grams per liter. Okay. So this is per liter, same as usual. Do the cross multiplication, check it for 15 ml. Okay, by dissolving 18.8518 gram of salt and 7.544 grams of acid in 1000 ml of distilled water gives you zero point 0.1 molar citrate buffer of pH solution 5.0. Okay, this is per liter. You can calculate it for how much for 15 ml. Okay, you can think about that. So this is all about the preparation of the buffer. Hope I made myself clear to you. If the previous picture was not clear, you can take a screenshot or you can pause the video. You can go through this presentation. I've given here preparation of the zero point 0.1 molar phosphate buffer of the pH 7. Okay, and here the molecular weight of K2HPO4 and potassium dihydrogen phosphate. The required pH is 7.0. Then pK value according to Hazelbach equation. I've given here the pH formula. Okay, then further you can see the calculation part. Whatever the picture I had given in the previous, no, here I am representing in the form of the particular PPT presentation. Okay, you can go through this. Since a page number is given, you can go through, or you can, if you have written through that particular picture representation, even that is more than enough. If you want, you can take the screenshot of this one. Okay. Then this one, this is the end of your preparation of phosphate buffer. Now I'll be moving to the citrate buffer. Okay, it's already done in the previous picture representation of that image I took that particular preparation of citrate and phosphate buffer. That is a written one. You can take a screenshot of this one and you can keep in your mind. Okay, so this is about the preparation of the buffer. Now let us go through the estimate the amount of protein reducing sugar in the given sample C. Okay, this is 12 marks. Okay, 12 marks. You need to write it here the aim of the experiment, that is to estimate the amount of reducing sugar, that is glucose or lactose you may get by DNS, that is 3,5 dinitrosalicylic acid. Okay, principle we already discussed this in the first experiment, right? The same principle, you can write it over here. Then preparation of the standard graph we'll understand while going through the tabular column. Okay, so this tabular column itself is a procedure. Don't write the procedure in the form of this flow chart. Okay, the tabular column itself is a procedure. So tabular column, you need to write it properly. So in tabular column, first you need to take the 7 test tube. Okay, in this 7th test tube, you need to give to the examiner this particular 7th test tube. Okay, 7th test tube we are going to give to the examiner to give the unknown sample by adding the distilled water. You are not going to do that. Okay, the first one, addition of the glucose will be added by the examiner and water also will be added by the examiner. Further, you need to add the 2 ml of DNS and volume of distilled water. So to the all the dry test tube, you are going to add the different aliquots of sugar, that is glucose solution ranging from zero point 0.2 to 1 ml. You are going to pipette and you are going to add into the different dry test tube. Okay, volume in each test tube which will be made up to 1 ml. Sorry, this is made up to 2 ml. Okay, when this is the blank, this is 0 0, this will be made up to 2 ml, right? 2 ml of water you are going to add. Here we have already added the zero point 0.2 ml of the glucose. When 0.2 ml is added, if you want to make up the final volume, all the test tube is same volume, you need to add here the 1.8 ml. If this is 0.4, you need to add here the 1.6 ml. If you are adding here 0.6, you need to add here 1.4 ml of water to make up the final volume to 2 ml. Here 0.8 ml and this is 1.2 ml. And here this is 1 ml and this is the 1 ml. So here we are while performing the DNS method by using the glucose, the concentration used is 1000 ml. Okay, so concentration is here the glucose. This column is for the glucose. So in 1 ml, we can see the 1000 microgram of the glucose. So in 1 ml, we have 1000 microgram. So in 0.8 ml, how much? Do the cross multiplication, 800. In zero point 0.6 glucose, we have the 600 microgram of glucose. In point 4, we have here 400 microgram of the glucose, and in point 2, we have the 200 microgram of the glucose, whereas the first one it's a blank, so you have the concentration 0. So today in this particular DNS method of per ml, you'll be using the 1000 microgram concentration. Okay, so after adding the distilled water, you are going to add to the all the test tube, including the unknown test tube, but you need to take from the examiner, add the unknown test tube to the, so you including unknown test tube, add the volume of DNS. For this unknown test tube, this addition of the glucose and the addition of the water will be done by the examiner for the seventh test tube. Okay, so this is the question mark you need to find out through the graph. So in all the test tube, we are going to add the 2 ml of the DNS. Then incubate in boiling water bath for 15 minutes. While during the incubation, you need to plot the graph. Okay, x-axis and y-axis. Okay, without trying to start doing this. On x-axis, here on x-axis, you are going to take the concentration of the glucose in microgram, and on y-axis, you are going to take the OD. Okay, so after 15 minutes of water bath incubation, then add to the all the test tube 5 ml of distilled water, and the first will be always point zero zero. You are by using the blank, you are going to adjust the OD, and whatever the ODs you'll get it here, no, that you need to plot the graph. By using the sixth test tube, you are going to plot the graph, that is the standard graph or standard curve. Up to here, you are going to get the standard curve or standard graph. This whatever the unknown, you'll get it here, no, that unknown you need to check here. Okay, you need to check where this unknown will come, and if the unknown OD is here, then put the dotted lines. Wherever the dotted line touches to the standard curve, then draw the dotted lines which are perpendicular to the x-axis, and this is the amount of the glucose which is present in that particular unknown sample. Okay, and to write the result, the amount of glucose or lactose present in 1 ml of the unknown sample is this much microgram per ml. That you need to calculate. That may be a per ml or whatever the 2 ml. You need to make a note. Okay, so or you can just mention this much amount of the microgram. Okay, here you can see the graph. Okay, whenever you plot the graph, first here below you need to write this as the concentration of the glucose, and this microgram unit you need to write, and put the arrow mark properly here, and this is the x-axis. Okay, and here we have the y-axis, right? In the y-axis, you need to write OD at 540 nanometer. Okay, to write whatever the OD you got, no, that range you need to write it here. Then you need to write the scale on x-axis, 1 centimeter or 2 centimeter. In 2 centimeter, how much, what was the concentration you have taken here? 2 centimeter, she has taken here, our one of the student, 200 microgram. So 200 microgram on x-axis, that is 2 centimeter you need to write. On y-axis, 2 centimeter, that is she has taken point 0.1. Okay, that you need to write. This is the scale. Apart from that, you need to write the title of the experiment in your graph sheet, because all this carries the marks. Okay, title of the experiment, then the scale, then what is y-axis, then what is x-axis, into write. Then by using the standard curve, whatever the OD you got, no, that's by that OD you are going to plot, and whenever you plot all the ODs, you are going to put that in the cross mark without fail. Okay, and you need to join the all the points. Then OD, whatever you got in the unknown sample, here you got the OD, right, or some OD you got here, no, this seventh test tube OD, we need to check where that OD will come. Okay, according to that where that OD will come, no, from there you are going to put the dotted lines here, and once this dotted line touches to the standard curve, then draw the perpendicular dotted lines to this particular x-axis. Wherever the dotted line which goes and touches to the x-axis, concentration of the glucose, now that much amount of the glucose which is present in the unknown sample. So unknown concentration of glucose is here 550 microgram. So that you need to write it here, 550 microgram. ML do not mention, okay, because we have taken 2 ml here there. So you can mention just a 550 microgram. Okay, now let us go to the estimation of protein by biorate method. Aim of the experiment to estimate the amount of protein in the given sample by biorate method. So principle is very important. You must write the principle here. The amount of protein extracted from the liver tissue is estimated by biorate method. This is the most commonly used method for both quantitative and qualitative estimation. Okay, in this method, CONH group of protein interact with copper sulfate, that is cupric ions, in alkaline condition to give a violet solution. The absorbance is right at 540 nanometer against a suitable blank. Okay, next I have given here the procedure. So do not write this procedure in your answer paper. Okay, just tabular column itself is the procedure. Okay, tabular column itself is the procedure you need to follow. So to perform this experiment, first you need to take the 7 dry test tube. Okay, once you took the 7 dry test tube, to all the test tube you are going to add the different aliquots, that is from point 2 to point 4, point 6, point 8 to 1 ml up to you are going to add to the test tube, and this to the dry test tube. This particular 7 test tube will be given by the examiner. They will only add the water and the unknown sample you need to take from the examiner. Okay, once you add all the point 2 to 1.0 aliquots, then make up the final volume to 1 ml. Okay, whereas in DNS we made to 2 ml, right? Here also 1 ml. Sorry, then you should make this as the 2 ml. This is not 1 ml, this is 2 ml. 2 ml of water, because final volume made up to 2 ml. 2 ml. So if we are adding at the 0.2 ml, then 1.8. If this is the 0.4, 1.6 you are going to add. If this is the zero point 0.6, then you will add 1.4, zero point 0.8, 1.2, this is 1 ml, 1 ml. Because on all the test tube you need to find the equal volume of the liquid. So you are going to make up the final volume to 2 ml here. Then what is the concentration in this particular method you have taken here, biorate reagent? In the biorate reagent, we have taken the 5000 microgram per ml. In per ml, we have the concentration of 5000 microgram. In DNS, we took 1000 microgram per ml. Whereas here, the concentration of the protein, that is BSA, bovine serum albumin, we have taken 5000 microgram per ml. Okay. So once this water is made up, then add 4 ml of biurate reagent to the all the test tube. Okay, then incubate at room temperature for 15 minutes, then take the OD. First one will be always 0.00, then you need to take the OD. Whatever the OD you will get unknown sample, no? So by using all this first 0, then this OD you'll get, here also OD you'll get, here also OD you'll get, OD you'll get. So by using all that particular ODs, you are going to plot the graph. Okay, that is standard curve we are going to plot, and this unknown you are going to find where exactly by using this standard curve. So this unknown OD you need to check where this unknown OD will come. Somewhere you'll get it here, the unknown OD. Then put the dotted lines here where this dotted line which touches the standard curve. Then put the perpendicular dotted lines against the this x-axis, which was plotted as concentration of the protein. Okay, so once you get all this particular OD, you are going to plot the graph. Okay, once you get all this OD, you are going to plot the graph of absorbance of 540 nanometer, which is on the y-axis, right? This will be on the here, right? That will be on here, right? On y-axis, that is OD at 540 nanometer, and then on x-axis is a concentration of the protein was plotted to obtain the standard curve, which crosses through a maximum number of points, okay, plotted in the line with the origin. Then the amount of the protein present in the unknown sample was calculated and checked based on the standard graph. Then what are the unknown or concentration you got, then you are going to write in the result the amount of protein present in 1 ml of the sample is this much. Okay, so here, this is the graph of estimation of protein by biorate method. First write the title of the experiment, then scale, then label this x-axis, then label the y-axis, then plot the standard curve. Okay, I have not drawn here properly. You need to go through that one, okay? Okay, this is the standard graph we are going to plot, and OD, unknown OD are going to plot. Wherever this dotted line we just now, that particular concentration will be the unknown concentration of protein found to be this much microgram you need to write. That will be the result. Then the next is estimation of proteins by Lowry's method. Aim of the experiment to estimate the amount of protein in the given sample by Lowry's method. Okay. Principle here will be using the FC, okay, FC reagent. The full form of FC, Folencio calcio reagent complex, is a reagent, okay, containing phosphomolybdate phosphotungstate complex. The chemical reactions occurring in the Lowry's method are as follows. Coordination of peptide bond with the alkaline copper reagent to form a blue color, okay. Reduction of the molybdenum in the pyro of phosphomolybdate, which gives phosphotungstate complex by tyrosine and tryptophan residues of the proteins to deepen the blue color. Okay, then the absorbance is set at 660 nanometer against a suitable blank. Earlier we had adjusted for 540. Now it's 660 for Lowry's method. Okay, you need to keep this in your mind. 660 nanometer for the Lowry's method. Okay, then not needs to go write this particular procedure in this in the examination, because as I told you, the tabular column itself is a procedure. Okay, whatever the tabular column is here, no, this tabular column is the procedure. To perform this experiment, you need to take the 7 dry test tube. Okay, to all the 7 dry test tube, you are going to first add the volume of standard protein. Volume of standard protein. Which protein are you using here? PSA. That is standard volumetric flask. We are going to prepare the standard. That's why I'll mention always a standard bovine serum albumin. First test tube you will not take. Second test tube 0.2 will add. 0.4 you will add. Third test tube 0.4. Fourth test tube 0.6. Fifth test tube 0.8 and sixth test tube 1.0. This one will be given by the examiner. Okay, the unknown and the addition of the water they will only give you. Okay, and make up the final volume to 1 ml. Okay, first one here we have taken 0 0, so we are going to have final volume will be 1.0. 1 ml will be adding. Here we already added with the zero point 0.2, so to make up the final volume 0.8 you'll add. Here 0.4 you'll add water. Here 0.6. Here 0.6 you will add, and here 0.4. Here you will add zero point 0.8 and here you will add zero point 0.2 by using the glass pipette. Okay, you will not be given micro pipette, you need to work with the glass pipette. And this is the 1 ml and here is the 0, because we need to make up the final volume to 0. In all the test tube there should be a equal amount of the liquid. Okay, then what is the concentration here we have taken? The concentration of here per ml of the protein is 200 microgram. Okay, you need to keep in your mind, in the Lowry's method the concentration of protein is 200 ml. How we got that one? This one, when we prepared the standard graph, standard protein, no, there actually concentration we have taken the 200 microgram per ml. Okay, 1 ml which contains 200 microgram of glucose. 0.8 ml how much? 160 microgram. Zero point 0.6 ml how much? 120 gram. Zero point 0.4 how much? 80 microgram. Zero point 0.2 how much? Here 40 microgram. There are 0 here solution, then 0 microgram. Clear? To all the test tube here you will add copper reagent. Okay, here copper reagent 5 ml to the all the test tube including the unknown. Okay, the unknown, the addition of the protein and the water will be, water made up to 1 ml will be done by the examiner. Rest you'll be doing. To all the test tube add here 5 ml of copper reagent and then incubate at room temperature for 10 minutes. Okay, then volume of FC reagent you will be adding here to all the test tube, that is 0.5 ml. Incubate at room temperature for 30 minutes and take the OD. First one will be always a blank. You'll adjust that particular uh, instrument for the 0 0. Okay, colorimeter. Then second OD you'll take here then third OD you'll take, then fourth, fifth, and the sixth OD you'll take. And this will be the unknown. Whatever the OD you will got, that you're going to plot on the standard graph. The whatever the beginning six test tube ODs, you're going to plot in the graph. Okay. If this is the x-axis, sorry, if this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, okay, on the x-axis you'll take the concentration of the protein, and y-axis you are going to take the OD. Whatever the OD you got, no, then whatever the size 5 ODs you got, you are going to plot here. Okay, so at observance of 660 nanometer, and here you are going to check the maximum number of points which are crossed through points plotted in a line with the origin. Okay, from the origin you will check how many points are going to connected based on the OD. You have plotted the points, no, based on that you need to check how many points this standard straight line which is going to cross. After that you need to plot this unknown sample here. Okay, unknown sample you need to plot it here, and this is the amount of the unknown sample what you got, and that amount you need to write in your result. The amount of protein present in per ml of the unknown sample is dash microgram per ml. You can write the answer here. Okay, so next you can see the graph. Okay, here graph, the title you need to write estimation of protein by Lowry's method, and this is the scale x-axis, y-axis. Okay, then you need to label what is this x-axis, concentration of the protein microgram, and the y-axis you need to write OD at 660 nanometer. Then by taking the standard curve OD, plot the standard curve straight line. Okay, then check the your unknown OD. Just check where is your unknown OD will come. Okay, she got here the unknown OD here. Our Soumya plotted this graph. Okay, this particular where the dotted line touched, no, there actually you need to draw the perpendicular dotted lines. Wherever this will touch, that will be your unknown concentration of the protein. Whatever the microgram you got, that you write. Okay. Next, last question, that is describe the principle involved in TLC unhydrogen. This carries 4 marks. So now let us go through what is the hydrogen reaction. See, whatever I have given you, right, that is more than enough. Ninhydrin, in the theory also will get this ninhydrin test. There also you can write the same. When 1 ml of ninhydrin solution is added to 1 ml of the protein solution and heated, the formation of a violet color indicates the presence of alpha amino acids. Okay, alpha amino acids undergo unique reaction, okay, with ninhydrin. Among the products of this unique reaction is the purple colored immunoderivative. This provides a useful color test for the amino acids, okay, most of which are colorless. Okay, a common application of ninhydrin test is the visualization of amino acids in a paper chromatography. Okay, so what is this ninhydrin? Ninhydrin, which is the delicate colored reaction for amino acid. Okay, when amino acid is heated with an ninhydrin reagent, what happens? A bluish or purple color is produced. This test is also ensured by proteins and peptides. Test is used for qualitative and quantitative estimation of amino acid. If you find very difficult to write all this thing, but it's very quite simple. If you write this particular ninhydrin, no, previously what I told, that will be more than enough. If you write this much also more than enough for ninhydrin. Okay, with the reaction you need to write. So what is ninhydrin here? Ninhydrin is a powerful oxidizing agent which causes oxidative decarboxylation. Okay, oxidative decarboxylation of amino acids producing carbon dioxide, ammonia, and an aldehyde, right? Here, the reduced ninhydrin then reacts with liberated ammonia and with another molecule of ninhydrin, forming a purple colored complex. Okay, this is the overall reaction of ninhydrin reagent. Okay, or this ninhydrin can also be known as triketohydrogen hydrate. Okay, the intensity of the color is directly proportional to the concentration of the solution Okay, absorbance is read using the colorimeter at 570 nanometer. Okay, this much if you write more than enough. Okay, what has happened here? This ninhydrin, which is one of the powerful oxidizing agent, which causes the oxidative decarboxylation of amino acid, producing this COO2 carbon dioxide. Okay, and then this particular NH2 as NH3. Okay, and this H will attack here, and this becomes aldehyde. Okay, and this will be, see, there is a loss of O, right, which has become, because that has donated here RCHO, right? Oxidation has happened here, whereas in this case, this will become hydrin dantin. This reduced ninhydrin, which reacts with liberated ammonia and then another molecule of the ninhydrin to give the purple color complex. Okay, now let us understand in steps. Okay, ninhydrin, that can also be known as triketohydrogen hydrate. Okay, which is also known as Indian 1, 2, 3 trione hydrate, is a powerful oxidizing agent and causes oxidative decarboxylation. Okay, oxidative decarboxylation of alpha, this is alpha amino acid. Okay, alpha amino acid producing carbon dioxide and then ammonia. Okay, and an aldehyde, RCHO, aldehyde, with one less carbon atom than the parent amino acid. So this is hydroxydantin, right? Then this is the aldehyde, this is the carbon dioxide, and this is the liberated ammonia. This reaction is very sensitive reaction and it is used for amino acid and amino acid identification. Okay, when amino acids or amino acid reacts with ninhydrin molecule, it gives color. When it gives purple color, this can be known as Remans complex. That is, the unknown sample is amino acids which have primary amine NH2, or it gives yellow color. Okay, the unknown sample is amino acid. So what has happened here? You got here the reduced ninhydrin. Okay, the reduced ninhydrin which reacts with the liberated ammonia, okay, and with another molecule of the ninhydrin. Okay, so we can see how that reacts. This is the reduced ninhydrin which reacts with other molecule with a liberated ammonia. Then you are going to get your Remans purple complex or diketohydrogen diketohydroxidamine, okay, with the liberation of water molecule. Okay, so this is about the Remans complex or Rosen's method. So what has happened in the entire structure here? The reduced ninhydrin then reacts with the liberated ammonia and molecule of ninhydrin forming a blue purple colored complex. Okay, hope you understood in this case. Instead of going through all this step 1 and step 2, you can just go through this particular reaction. You can write whole this reaction, that will be more than enough for the ninhydrin. Okay, now let us go to the next one, TLC. What's the full form of TLC? TLC stands thin layer chromatography. Okay, thin layer chromatography is similar to paper chromatography for identification, okay, separation and purification of components of a mixture. Here ascending technique is used like the paper chromatography. Okay, chromatography is used to separate mixtures of substances into their components. All forms of chromatography work on same principle. Okay, they all have a stationary phase, that may be a solid or a liquid which is supported on a solid. Okay, and a mobile phase. Mobile phase, here we are using a liquid or a gas, whereas in thin layer chromatography, mobile phase will be a liquid, that is solvent. Mobile phase flows through the stationary phase and carries the components of the mixture with it, right? In a diffusion manner. Different components travel at different rates, right? Based on that, we are able to separate the components. Thin layer chromatography is done exactly as it says, using a thin uniform layer of silica gel or alumina coated onto a piece of glass, a metal or rigid plastic. That's why it is mentioned as thin layer. Silica gel will be loaded onto the glass plate or metal plate or any kind of rigid plastic of very thin condition. Okay, so it's mentioned as thin layer chromatography. Now let us go through the procedure. Preparation of TLC plate, that is the stationary phase. Plate is stationary. Generally glass plates of 5 into 20 centimeter and 20 into 20 centimeter are used. Okay, plates are cleaned with the chromic acid, detergents and water and then dried. Silica gel paste, which acts as a stationary phase, that is spread on the plate by means of a glass rod, okay, a roller, and then heated to remove moisture condition. Okay, once that dried, you are going to prepare the solvent system, that is the mobile phase. About 100 ml of the solvent is sufficient and it is put it in a solvent chamber. You are going to get the content. In that content, first you are going to put the solvent, then you will place the your glass plate, that is thin layer with the thin layer silica gel. Then before that, to that particular plate, you are going to mark the solvent front. Okay, so next you'll be going to application of the mixture. Once you make a margin of the solvent, how what level that will be dipping, okay, you'll go for the application of the mixture. With the help of capillary tube, mixture to be analyzed is applied as a spot near one end of the plate. Then you'll go through development of the plate. The plate is then dipped after the addition of this application of the mixture of different plant source or whatever you got that particular extraction. No, after spotting that, then the plate is dipped in the solvent chamber and the spot containing the mixture slowly starts moving over the plate and reaches near the top. Okay, then you need to make a note of that one and to stop the reaction. So you can make out here, this is the container. Within the container I have put the solvent and then I have placed the glass plate with the silica gel and also coated with the some sample here. I have loaded the sample here. Okay, once you place in this particular container, what happens, it start diffusing through this particular silica gel. Okay, so once this solvent reaches up to here, no, you need to stop the reaction. You need to take out the glass plate and you need to dry that one. Okay, so here you can see this is the solvent front. Okay, in the pencil you need to make a line above that particular solvent. Okay, from here this particular spot should not dip in the solvent. The spot should be always outside the solvent, because if it is there, it will merge with the solvent, then that will mix with the solvent, then you won't be able to solve the purpose of this experiment. Okay, so on the line above the solvent, you already loaded the sample, right? Through capillary action, that diffusion, the solvent phase, that is mobile phase, it will move. While moving, this mobile phase, which also carry this particular spotted chemical component according to their molecular weight, everything. Okay, this is the spot of mixture. Then this is the TLC glass plate coated with the silica gel, and this is the beaker and the glass cover. Okay, so for examination point of view, if you write this much of thin layer chromatography information, more than enough. Then identification, it can be done by calculating the RF value, okay, of different spots. Okay, we got here the after the running the particular process, we got the different spot here. You can see a different spot up to this particular solvent traveled front. Okay, for example, if the one component traveled 170 mm from the base line. Okay, this is the base line where you mark, no, while the traveled solvent has traveled 50 mm. Okay, then the RF value for that die is RF is equal to distance traveled by the component. Okay, here you have spotted the component. Distance traveled by the component divided by distance traveled by the solvent. See, this is the solvent. This solvent was here. After certain time of incubation, the solvent has moved. So I need to take this one. Okay, distance traveled by the solvent, and the whatever the component which has traveled, no, that you need to measure by using the scale, and then you are going to get the RF value. Okay, so what is this RF value? That is distance traveled by the component. Okay, divided by distance traveled by the solvent has traveled up to here, right? That you need to make a note. So RF is equal to 170. Okay, 170, that is component run, 170. Then next one is the solvent run, that is 50. Distance traveled by the component is 170 and distance traveled by the solvent is 50 mm. Okay, is equal to 3.4. Okay, hope you understood this concept about the TLC. Okay, so from the beginning we went through the question number one, that is determine the right. The first question was determine the activity of amylase in the given material A. Right, you will write here the principle, procedure, and result. Okay, you're going to plot the graph. Procedure tabular column itself is the procedure. Question number one, standard graph will be given. Question number two, you need to prepare the standard graph. Question number three, only write the principle. Procedure is not necessary in the question number three. Hope I made myself clear to you. Hope this will be useful for you, and hope you will get more benefit. Dear students, please focus on your studies. I look forward to see you in my next video. Happy learning. I, Dr. Pratibha K, signing off for today. Stay tuned with me. I'll be coming soon with more videos. Thank you for watching.